Slammed away.
There's Gaze. Another alley-oop pass. That's what we've been waiting for. Unbelievable timing on that. And it's the Tigers straight away. Gaze. Alley-oop. What a start.
Welcome to the Ultimate Supercoach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Inside NBL show. Our weekly preview show and our last preview show of the year. It is heading into round 20, and mate, bit of mixed feelings heading into this last round. The end of the year, end of our debut season.
It's a little bittersweet, isn't it? It's been a huge year. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. As always, we're brought here today by the Standard Squeeze, Ryan from Astute Newstead, and Bonus Bank. Mate, how was your weekend? What's happening?
Man, I'm going to tell you something, and look, you just need to take this in all seriousness. Sunday mornings, take my wife, my daughter, and our dog. We go on a hot girl walk. To keep her entertained in the pram, got the bubble blower out. I blew this bubble, right? And it just floated across the road, and then the wind got it. Comes up, and it kept going, man. This thing never popped. It was like 10 minutes is probably exaggerating, but like I just lost sight. This thing never popped. So I'm still on a high from that. But how was Super Bowl, man?
Well, obviously I didn't go to the Super Bowl. I'm back in Australia now. But I tell you what, it was a Larry Emder. We ended up at the Cass on Sunday night. Just a casual day with the boys. Had some beers in the pool. Went to the pub for lunch on the way down there. But yeah, Super Bowl weekend. Drinks package started at 9 o'clock in on Caxton Street. Obviously, it has to start that early. We're not just being irresponsible. The football starts at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. But yeah, big day. I've lost my voice somewhere between Caxton Street and the Valley. I think if anyone finds it, they can mail it in. But yeah, just a big day. Got back late last night.
Just your voice and not your dignity this time.
Yeah. Look, yeah, and it was a good game of footy. Went to overtime for like the first time in however long. Obviously, really enjoyed watching NFL this year because I didn't have to have my little analyst hat on. But I wasn't writing notes.
That's fair enough. And I heard a vicious rumor that you went down for the Tay-Tay show and end up in an Usher concert.
Mate, I did squeal every time she popped up.
I bet you did.
You'd
squeal every time you pop up too, I bet.
Mate, on today's show, we're going to go through the breaking news. We're going to go through how we went this week, squeeze of the week, round 20 preview, most traded, our trade and captain thoughts, answering all your questions along the way. I feel like we know the drill now. So, look, there has been a little bit of breaking news.
It's time for some news from around the league.
Mate, Tom Abercrombie retires. And could he be one of the greatest breakers of all time?
Look, he'd have to be up there, especially when you factor in longevity. But I mean, the Breakers are a storied franchise. They've had some guys: Cedric Jackson, CJ Bruton, the notorious Glenn Rice Jr. Yeah, look, fantasy irrelevant, but great career and top bloke. So, his number 10 will be hanging in the rafters next season. Some more breaking news though. Taj McCall, what's the go there?
I tell you what, I don't want to bring up Travis Kelce again, but he must have approached his coach like Travis Kelce did about midway through the first, because Taj McCall is pissed off Adam Ford, hasn't he? Something's happened. Don't just play 8 minutes.
In a do or die game, they've played him 8 minutes. And obviously lost in the end. It looked tense. The reporting from Olgun Uluc out of that one is that perhaps the relationship, which was once very strong, has become strained. And with McCall out of contract, perhaps it's time to think about next season. I get the feeling we won't see him back which is kind of sad from a Supercoach perspective because he's been really good this season.
I hope we see him back. Maybe we don't see him back for Cairns. Like,
Where would you see him? Where's he fit?
honestly, there's not too many teams that are knocked back at Taj McCall. I don't think Perth can sort of handle that. He might step on Mitch Creek's toes a little bit, but basically anyone outside of those three teams, Melbourne, Southeast Melbourne, and Perth, I could see him tell me he wouldn't be a lot better than, say, a Casey Prather or somebody in Brisbane. Sydney would take he's better than Denzel Valentine. Maybe there's not a spot there on Tasmania, but anyone else.
Yeah, I reckon Brisbane will have a crack. They've got a long history of stealing Cairns imports, a la Torrey Craig, Travis Trice, Nathan Sobey was a Cairns product.
Yep.
Maybe if the shoe fits. Last bit of breaking news though. Seems like the talks between Brian Goorjian and the Adelaide 36ers are heating up, and possibly getting a few noses out of joint with DJ Vasiljevic throwing his support behind Scott Ninnis.
Yeah, well, they just signed DJ to that 3-year contract. And I did make the comment, without a coach and signing this guy for this long, you've got to think that he's going to have some, he's just signed to be their franchise guy.
Yeah.
And he's been great this year, but you would think that if DJ wants to play for Ninnis has been great this year. They would save a bit of, Goorjian's going to be a lot more expensive than Ninnis.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Gordon's made no secret he wants to be back in the league. I imagine there's going to be a vacancy at Sydney very soon. I think Tatum locks up Illawarra, but Adelaide's the only other spot we're looking at potentially. But I feel like Ninnis has done enough. But from a Supercoach perspective, the coach has a lot of influence over Supercoach scores, right?
Yeah, they do, and it depends how they go. I'm would you say that Ninnis is sort of? He's definitely got a lot better out of his players, but he's sort of shortened that roster. He wasn't afraid to sit guys they went and got Jason Kadee and blokes like that, and he's just gone, mate, I'm shortening the roster. There's no time for you. And Adelaide, if you watched my episodes in round 5, you wouldn't believe this turnaround because Adelaide had doubles. They were awful. They were playing 10 deep, and now they are. Well, I had 2 Adelaide players on my bench through a double, and I wasn't too worried about getting rid of them. That probably speaks.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's 2 things you got to consider here. Goorjian is a defensive-minded coach. That's sort of what he's hung his hat on his whole career, which doesn't translate really well to fantasy. The up and down run and gun with Scott Ninnis, he's given him a long leash. He's letting him play. That's where your Supercoach scores come from. So I think the other part to consider too is you want a team where the coach has brought those guys in himself. So you've got confidence that these are his guys that fit his system. We see the guys that CJ brought in, they don't fit what Ninnis wants to do.
Yep.
Are the guys that Ninnis has going to fit what Goorjian wants to do?
And then you have all these teething issues. You have all these problems. You have all these Supercoach traps. Yeah, I hate it. I hope Ninnis gets signed.
Especially if they've got a front-loaded schedule like they did this year. By the time they figure it out, it's too late. They're fantasy irrelevant.
Yeah, no, 100%. Mate, that's probably all the breaking news. Let us know how you went.
Yeah, mate, this it was a really interesting round. Like I've been saying over the last few weeks, I had Rowan out any chance of playing overall and was concentrating on head-to-head. And I played Braino this week, and it was always going to be touch and go. I captained Cheatham, and he captained Gary Clark. Proved pretty good in the first game. Cheatham doubled. Look, Cheatham was solid. He had 30, 35-ish each game, but yeah, his bench was a lot better, and he had Harvey starting, whereas I had Kell. So overall, I finished with 418. Only top 6% this round. I'm sitting at about 700th-ish overall, and that's probably about where I'll stay for this season. So, yeah. What about yourself, mate? You probably did pretty well.
Mate, had 441. That was good enough for top 4% this week.
Beautiful.
It's moved me up a few spots into 408th. So my goal's now to crack the top 400.
Sensation.
Captain Gary Clark, I was really tempted to captain Parker Jackson Cartwright, and I was like, no, Gary Clark's been so consistent, he's been so good, and he wasn't fantastic. My lowest score in my starting lineup was Justin Robinson. I brought in Luke Travis instead of Mango, which backfired. But
Mango was great.
Definitely, I think Luke Travis in 2 games this week should outscore Mango. So I'm sort of, planned on the week ahead. I've got plenty of guys on doubles, probably nearly the same starting lineup a little bit. I've got some choices this week. I've got a bit of flexibility. But, might move out a couple of Adelaide players to blokes on doubles.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting week because I feel like anyone who's anyone will have a very, very similar starting 5. And I think this is where your work that you put in at the start of the season and throughout to build that cash and to ride those cash cows, this is where it's going to show. When you've got your strongest bench is probably going to be the difference when you've got some very similar starting lineups.
Mate, I don't want to go spoiler alert, but I'm going to have 10 on doubles this week.
Mate, I have 8.
Nice.
7.5.
Yeah.
One guy's on a double. He won't play. Thank you, Bawali Bales.
Insight community team. Obviously, we vote on our team every week. We've got a little bit better at it. We've been throwing it up, and people just like and dislikes after we have a discussion first about who ends up on the list. Everybody votes. Captain Gaz Clark this week moved down 9 spots, got 430, still 53rd, so top 50 insights for the community team. And that's just shows how good our community is.
Yeah, I think that's huge for the show. First year, first time the community gets together. Taken us a little while to get the systems worked out, but the top 50 just shows the quality of the guys that we've got in these chats. And look, anyone who else wants to jump in, get on that Discord and everything, because this is the place to do it.
Yeah, we're doing Inside Unlimited too. It's giving you direct lines to us. For NBL, it'll start next year, but definitely for NRL and AFL, I've been getting on and giving a little 5-minute shout out and explaining what I'm doing for the week. Like a lot can change between Tuesday and if lockout's on Friday. So just on the way to work, I'm just speaking my thoughts, maybe going through my final captain thoughts. Like I had a bit of a chat about how I'm just going Gary Clark, but maybe Parker Jackson Cartwright could be a play if you're struggling and you wanted to take that risk and move up spots. It's handy at the end of the week.
It sounds like this is going to be huge coming into the preseason next year too, as guys are starting to lock away your starting lineups. And mate, tell me about the Supercoach World Cup.
Yeah, the Supercoach World Cup. We're trying to work out who's the best Supercoach player in the world. So that's across 4 codes. So NBL, AFL, NRL, and BBL. So I'm actually having to I often make an AFL team and it lasts about 3 weeks. I'm throwing myself into it. I'm going to be listening to Mick and Skitty on the AFL podcast. I know that you're going to have to take up a bit of NRL. I've had you in my DMs asking who's Nicholas Hines.
I've got a plan, Mattrix. I feel like I'm going to go through the leaderboards from the last couple of seasons. I'm going to find the top players and be like, form a syndicate. We'll just split the prize. I'm going full mafia on this one. I got a scheme.
It is a competition, but it does cost $10 to enter. We're amateur podcasts. I can't throw up a $10,000 prize, but say we get 1,000 people, there will be some pretty big prizes. There's a lot of hype. There's lots of people already joined. It's just $10. Everybody's chatting about it in the Discord. People are talking about. It's actually really fun to hear about how really good AFL Supercoach players sometimes don't even watch the NBL. So it's getting everybody involved. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So if you want details on this, where do we go to find out more?
Look, you can go on our Discord. It's in the comments and DM. There's actually a whole thread for it, just people chatting Supercoach. There's individual things in there too. But you just message us, get your $10 across to us. We give you a code. You pop in, and they're working it out through your percentage as to how you score in each sport. So Whisperer's organising all that. It's his idea. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Beautiful. Should we get into it?
Mate, let's get into it. Let's go at Squeeze of the Week. Dave from Do It For Jack, friend of the show, is still holding number one spot. Captain Parker Jackson Cartwright last week in a master stroke. I think he's 135 points up. I know he'll have some sleepless nights this week. But look, he's in the drive, pun intended. He's in the driver's seat to get a new car.
Man, he must be feeling good, right? He's had a great season.
Yeah, and like just made all the right moves at the right times. He's like, they always say that like the horse that doesn't lead the first turn or something doesn't always win. But we've been talking about him, I feel like, since like round 5.
Talking about not wanting to lead too early, did I tell you I bought a pigeon this week?
What the fuck?
Yeah, one of the guys at work, like pigeon racing guru. So I've bought into a syndicate for a racing pigeon that's racing in Victoria in August. They go and release like 1,000 birds, 550 kilometers from wherever they're designed to home back to. First pigeon back wins. But apparently, if you get too far ahead of the pack early, the hawks pick you off. So you gotta wait to make your move. But here's a little fun fact.
Wow, I'm excited. I wonder if that'll be coming on KO this year.
Be good.
Might be with Sky Sports. Look, Tim from Instant Karma got 526, PJC captain with Mango and Will McDowell White on the bench, getting it done. Come through, you've actually won the last Standard Squeeze prize of the year for NBL. So yeah, get yourself a 4-in-1 or get yourself some of these bad boys from the Standard Squeeze. Standard Squeeze have been great sponsors all year. And we look forward to working with them in the future. Look, let's talk. We actually haven't talked that much basketball. So let's talk some basketball. There's 4 teams on doubles. Illawarra, New Zealand. We had those guys. Most teams have a couple of bench players from those teams as well as a starting 5. But it's probably Melbourne and Perth that are the interesting ones this week, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said before, there's going to be a lot of guys with similar teams. You'd imagine Cheatham, Parker Jackson Cartwright, Gary Clark are going to carry over, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably leaving you a couple of spots. You got a guard. You've probably got 3 guards, 4 guards maybe to think of. Yeah. Cotton, PJC, Harvey, Justin Robinson. Can you then look at maybe Melbourne guards? Delhi seemed to have a really good weekend. Is he a player?
Look, I don't mind it. I was actually looking at Bubbles price because if you needed to like downgrade a Kel, which might give you enough money to punt on something else, like he's like 194K and can blow it up. Like if you wanted to go Joe Luala-Chul or something, for example, and you're running a Mango, Mango was fantastic, but if you're running somebody like that, you can downgrade to a Chris Goulding, set it on your bench, set it on fire, just see what happens, because we know that he can heat it up. You could probably even do it with Delhi. There's a significant downgrade, but there's so much upside.
Yeah. And it's a pod. Like, we've been concerned all year about Cotton resting. Look, I don't know about you, but I don't think he's going to rest.
He hasn't been that good the last couple of weeks. I don't know how his score was this week, but that's kind of deterring me a little bit that so many people have Cotton. And he's got a 3-round average of 41, but like, I suppose that's around where he's priced at. But he's been like a guy that you get and expect to get 40 a game.
But have a look who he's playing. So on the Thursday night, he plays the Hawks. Mate, have a look up what his Supercoach scores have been against the Hawks this season. From memory, they have been really low. Like, they've got the secret sauce.
21 and 28 in his last 2 games.
Well, still not as low as I thought. Was there one below before that?
That's still pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, but what about scoring or actual points? He had 9, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was talking Supercoach points.
Yeah, no, you're right. So look, the Supercoach score's bumped up higher than I thought, but his actual points have been really low. They've kept a lid on him. And who's their second game against? Tassie. Look, Tassie are probably still playing hard. They want to win this game to completely lock away third spot. They've been playing well as well.
And if you had to pick a guard in the league to defend Bryce Cotton, put your life on it, it's got to keep Bryce Cotton to 34 points. It's probably like a Milton Doyle or somebody along those lines.
Yeah. Look, man, Tassie have been, granted this season it hasn't been as strong as the last two, but they've done it by committee. Their team defense has been exceptional, and their rim protection's been great. The combination of Magnay and Lee makes it a very daunting proposition for someone like Cotton to get in there. I mean, he's going to be throwing up floaters and hoping they come in.
So is Cotton the only guy you'd look at from Perth? Could you look at a Pinder?
You could definitely look at a Pinder. Look, that centre position is something worth discussing because, look, a lot of us had thought about riding Sam Froling for a while. Man, he's been disappointing to say the least the last couple of weeks. JLA's a play? Is Pinder a play?
Still got 61 on a double. Like, I'm going to get rid of Humphreys over Froling.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Cheatham. You know what's dog shit? Cheatham doesn't have that duel. That's awful.
Yeah.
That's bad from Supercoach.
There's a few whack ones, like old mate who's guard centre eligible, whoever he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, they need to do a review, sort of the quarter way through the season. Just say, well, how are these guys actually being played? Like, there are some guys that make sense. Like Jack McVeigh, he's guard forward. That makes sense.
Yep.
Why isn't Cheatham, why is he so different? Or why isn't he centre forward eligible? How's he different to Froling? He's more mobile than Froling.
In NRL, they do it at like round 6, round 12, and they publicise where it's at. I do understand this is the first year of NBL, but they've probably got to up their game a bit.
Yeah. They did do it in the last couple of years of fantasy, but it was minimal. You might get 5 or 6 changes each season, and most of those players didn't play.
Mate, Matty Granger's got a really good question, and I'm not 100% sure how to answer this. But Melbourne and Perth resting players. Are you concerned? Are you trading in these guys and then just, TLT, let's call it, like Team List Tuesday? We wait for it to get rolled out, be really on our games this week, and if it happens, we start moving them on. What's your game plan?
I don't think you're going to know, right? Perth play the Thursday night game. You'd imagine even if they're getting rested, they'll start as they normally would, and then they'll put the queue in the rack. It's hard. Like, if they do rest players, if you've got some of those sort of more bench players, they're probably going to play a lot more, and it'll work in your favour. So it's more your stars you've got to be concerned about, and I really don't know. I can talk myself into it happening either way here. I don't know. I've got nothing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna watch. Like, Perth plays in the first game, so you can pivot anywhere. It's Melbourne players that I'm worried about. Like, you can't just go and move to a Perth player because they're gonna be locked out. You just can't go and move to a New Zealand player. I own them all anyway, and you just can't move to an Illawarra player. So if you're so worried about it, target Perth players over Melbourne players. And I don't think you're going to go that wrong, maybe, and this will probably bite me. Like, if you can't decide and you have to go Pinder instead of JLA, or you have to go Cotton instead of, say, a Delhi or someone, like, you good.
Yeah. Look, probably the only team I think at the moment that's mathematically out of contention is Southeast Melbourne.
Yeah.
Look, they're rubbish. Don't even worry about them. They're on a single, but I feel like everywhere third through till ninth still has something to play for, at least for the first game of this round. So, look, there's some questions popping in about some of these guys on the bench with Perth. I could see Saar, Doolittle, and Usher all getting an uptick in time if some of those main players, get rested. Although Doolittle does play 38 minutes a game.
Yeah, exactly. Doolittle's maybe somebody that I could look at. Yeah, you can't. Like,
Maybe our
And then,
boy
like,
Ben Hinshaw finally gets on.
oh, yeah, I might bring him in this week, actually. I've been waiting for that.
Wasn't that the worst call we ever made all season?
He looked great in that first game, can I say?
Yeah. Unbelievable.
If you had to choose between Saar, Doolittle, and Usher, who would you get? This is answering Corey Blackledge's
Yeah.
question in the chat. I
Doolittle.
just think it's relevant right now. Yeah, me too. Doolittle.
Yeah. Look, I think if they rest anyone, it'd be Cotton. But I feel like Riley's just such a competitor that I don't feel like he's going to stuff around with resting. You want that momentum going into the finals. They dropped one the other week. They've been a little bit, you know, fragile, I suppose, or just a bit shaky. So I feel like they're going to want momentum because they're going to get almost a bye round anyway into the finals.
Yep.
And we've got the FIBA window.
Exactly. Maddie's in the chat again. I'm about 400th. You're about 700th, Hammer?
709th, I think.
Yeah, cool. I'm 406th, I think, off the top of my head. So yeah, we're there and thereabouts, Maddie. All right. So we've sort of chatted a bit about those 4 teams and their draws going forward. We didn't really target, like, Melbourne and Perth players are the ones we're excited about because I've got all the New Zealand and Illawarra players that I want, except for maybe Harvey. Mate, Melbourne playing Cairns could be anything. Melbourne playing Illawarra is a tough matchup for them, isn't it?
Huge. It's Illawarra, they're looking good. And did you see that out of bounds play they ran for Gary Clark, the alley-oop dunk off the was it just at the end of the game? Put him against New Zealand.
Nah, I missed that.
Oh man, it was
Larry Emder, man. Yeah,
they're good. Look, Cairns season's cooked. I don't think they can make it anymore. So we've talked about Trouble in Paradise with Taj McCall and Adam Ford having a little lovers tiff. The eyes are probably on next year. He's thinking, let's get some minutes into some of our younger guys. So I'd say that'll be a walk in the park for Illawarra. Although, Cairns is Jekyll and Hyde. Sometimes they surprise you.
Yeah, and we're probably going to have a little bit more of a chat about sit start tonight.
Yeah,
because
that's going to be a big one.
Like, if you have 10 starters, like, there's some big decisions to be made and some big implications for your team. So,
yeah, and for those guys up the pointy end of the ladder in the rankings, that's probably where you're going to be. Like, guys are going to have 10 guys on doubles. Whether you start or sit, it's probably going to be the difference for you, right?
Yeah, 100%. Do you want to go through the ads and the drops this week?
Yeah, do it.
This is why I'm hot.
Yeah. Look, Bryce Cotton is traded in by 14.4% of players. He's been the number 1 Supercoach player all year. He's finally on a double. I mean, the logic's there. He just hasn't been as good in the last little bit as he has been. Like, his 5-round average is 51. His 3-round average is 41. But yeah, the best player in Supercoach. I can't argue with people bringing Bryce Cotton in.
No, I can't either. And he's been there all year. He's been great. It really just comes down to who you're gonna, whether they're gonna rest him or not. But maybe Illawarra has been his bogey team all year. We've gone through how he hasn't scored well against them. Maybe he wants to have that run. He's going to say, hey, let me figure it out against the Hawks in case we meet them in the playoffs.
And there's a real chance that they could.
Absolutely. The Hawks look like they probably will lock away 4th spot, which is an absolute miracle considering where they came from in round whatever it was when Jacomas got the flip.
Yeah. I had to. I was not very high on them either. I just had to be high on them due to the schedule. So,
I saw a little clip. I think it was put out by the NBL or Liam Santa Maria or something of the scouting they were doing at the Center of Excellence or whatever they call the Institute of Sport now. Guess who was coaching at the AIS? Jacomas.
Oh, really?
Why would you do that to the kids? Wow.
The draft class of that year, awful.
Must have a good resume.
Alex Sarr is the second most brought in. He's 200K. He's got high upside. I don't hate it. I don't know if he's going to just not play that much due to them not wanting to get him injured in the game that doesn't matter.
All right, play with this for a scenario. What if, and bear with me here, this is a sort of real way out there. Could happen, probably won't. What if Pinder gets rested and they start Sarr and he plays 38 minutes? What sort of stat line are you looking at?
About Wemby's stat line from today, 27, 14, and 10 blocks.
My goodness. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Look, is that a pod if that happens? Do they have some little inside knowledge out west that Pinder's hurt?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I like it. I like it. Oh, look,
Look,
no, Sar's interesting. Joe Luala-Chul, 9% of teams bringing him in. I get that. That was actually my plan. I'm not that scared about resting.
yeah, look, I've brought him in so far with the team I'm playing with. Of all the people who get rested, I don't think it's him. He missed so many games. He's just starting to get his funk back. He's put up some good scores lately without being completely dominant outside of that one game where I think he had 33 actual points. Look, he could go big.
He could, and Cairns centers aren't fantastic. These first matchups against Cairns, we
Yeah.
spoke for 6 weeks about Sam Wardenberg, so who knows?
Although they do have the JLA stopper in Josh Roberts.
No, didn't Josh Roberts? He's playing NBL 1 in New Zealand now. They got rid of him.
I thought he signed NZBL for the off season. I thought they're still going to run him out for the end of the year.
Oh, maybe. I just thought they were just moving him on. So yeah.
No, I think he's signed for the off season, but he'll
Yeah,
finish
okay.
the year with Cairns, but that's probably his level.
County Pinder, 6.8% of people, 360K. If you've got bank, I can't argue with Bryce Cotton, JLA, or Pinder. Hey,
No, look, outside of the black cloud hanging over our heads that they may be rested, they're all very solid picks. And look, Cotton's a pretty obvious captain choice if you're just playing off the the clear averages. But look, at this point of the season, if you're trying to shake up a little bit and move up the ranks, it's time for a pod, right?
Yep. Yeah, it is. And that's where some of these other guys come in. Like you can downgrade to a Will McDowell White. He scored 58 on my bench last week. I'm not confident enough in starting him, but he's been really good. Look like he's getting a lot more involved with Lamb out. I don't know if they're blooding him for next year. But
Yeah.
Will McDowell White's getting a lot more burn.
Yeah, I think this is how they envisioned it working. And look, Will McDowell White's assists are good. He's pass first, whereas PJC's score first. It's a real contrast. And when guys are hitting shots, Will McDowell's score is going to be a lot bigger because he's hit some guys wide open and they've just missed shots. They couldn't buy a bucket on the weekend.
Yep. Tyler Harvey at 5.7%.
Yep.
Don't hate it. He's probably the one person that I don't have, maybe outside of Mango, that I wish that I had. I have Justin Robinson instead of Tyler Harvey. I couldn't afford it, but Justin Robinson's just as likely to roll out and score 30 more points than Tyler Harvey this week. I feel like it's like flipping a coin when I watch him.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. You don't know what the go is with Robinson. He started the first game, came off the bench in the second. But he does play minutes, and he's been playing a lot better than he has been. Tyler Harvey was great in that second game. That's the Tyler Harvey that we saw like 2 years ago when he first came to the league. He's penetrating again. He's actually getting back to that floater, and it's opening up his long range game. Guys are looking for him. Gary Clark hit him for a few assists when the defense collapsed. He got going early, and I think that confidence just boosted him. He was great that game.
People rectifying the mistake of not having PJC. Called him must-have last week. I think you still must have him.
Yeah, look, I bought him in last week. I think he was must-have. I didn't captain him. I was concerned about the matchups, and boy, did he prove me wrong. He was dominant. look, he's another captain option this week. The fact that they don't have Anthony Lamb, they need some scoring from somewhere. And
Yep.
he's the obvious place they're going to look. And he took it on his shoulders this week and went to town.
Sam Froling, 3.4% of people bringing him in. I don't know if I'd bring him in. I think that there's better options.
Look,
maybe you can't afford the other blokes.
Yeah, he's dropped money this week. He's only 312K. Maybe it is one of those ones where you've just upgraded some spud on your bench. Look, maybe you're bringing a 300K guy on your bench. I really don't know what some of these squads look like, but he's not a must go out and get for me for, as a starter. I've actually moved him to my bench this week.
Yep. Mango's another one. 213K, people bringing him in. He was great last week. We've chatted about that at length. And Chris Goulding can light it up. He's 194K. People probably thinking they can downgrade and still having a chance of a big score, but he's old. He's probably not going to play that much this week.
Yeah, I don't love the Goulding one. Like we've said all year, unless he drops bulk points, actual points, the score's not going to be there. He doesn't really hit across the stat sheet. Like you look at, and probably the example I keep going back to all seasons, Milton Doyle. Like that game he had on the weekend, I think he had 2 points at half time, and still had like 25 Supercoach points. Like, it just hits different, right?
Yeah, it does. Let's have a chat about some of the guys getting dropped. Trey Kell, and I get it. 10% of people are getting off him. 411K. Side swipe to Cotton. Cotton's going to score more. If Cotton gets rested one of his games, he's probably still going to outscore Trey Kell.
Did you ever think you'd be saying you'd be downgrading Kell to Cotton? 411K to 405K.
Mate, I tell you what, the round 12 MVP, when he come onto the scene, I paid 230, 240 or something for him. Fuck, that was good.
Sensational. Almost doubled in money. Hey, on a side note, Adelaide, you bringing Kell back as your starting point guard next year?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%, he was great.
Yeah, good. I think he has to be your point guard, though. You can't put another dominant guard next to him. Give him the ball. Give him the keys.
Yep. Yeah, keys to the city. I think he works pretty well with DJ too.
Yeah, I think they complement each other. And then I think you've got your guards locked away.
Yeah,
bring back
100%.
like an Antonius Cleveland type as a 3-man, and maybe they're starting to look a little good.
Bit upside out there in Adelaide.
First bit of positivity in a while, isn't it?
Yeah. Isaac Humphries, 7% of people are trading him out. Look, they're probably the two I'm going to trade out. Just on a single, it's so much money tied up. I'm going to people with doubles.
Talking to Big Hump, has decided he's going to test the free agent market this offseason and will not re-sign with Adelaide straight away.
I think it's smart. He's been great.
Yeah. The price has gone up.
You got to get that paper.
Yeah, you chase that bag and then get some money.
Yeah, there we go. Milton Doyle, 361K, 6% of people trading him out. Not on a double this week. 100% get it. I don't think we're going to be arguing with too many of these.
No, look, everything makes sense. Schedule dependent, form dependent. I think everyone's on the money. This is what I'm saying, man. Like, the teams will be similar. Your benches will be the difference.
The top 10 are all people on singles. So we get it.
Yeah.
Except maybe Global's holding on to Ben Ayre for this one because he's had him since day one.
Yeah, man. I'm going to give Global the same advice that I gave Rob a long time ago. You just love the idea of him. You don't love him anymore. It's time to move on. He's been good. He doesn't know how he's going to breathe without him. I get
it. Yeah, I get it. Mate, let's have a look at... Mate, there's not too much to talk about. Let's face it. There's 1 week. We're not planning ahead for other weeks. No. Let's have a bit of a look at our trades for the week.
Cool.
Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to report a trade.
The old fingers aren't what they used to. I'm a bit hungover. Let us know about your trades.
Mate, I've I've done the sneaky downgrade from Kel to Cotton. I'm looking at moving Sam Froling to the bench, doing a little magic, getting rid of Humphreys, and bringing in JLA. So I'd be looking at a starting 5 of Gary Clark, Zylan Cheatham, JLA, Cotton, Parker Jackson Cartwright. And then my bench is a little gnarly. It's got Froling, my main man, Krislovic still, the big Mango, Jack McSack, and Bawali Bales. So, look, definitely not that upper echelon, top 1% type of bench. But, look, it's solid. I've gotten quite fond of them.
Mate, we've had a good year. That's good.
Oh, yeah. It's been fun. What do you got?
Exactly the same as you. Look,
You brought in
probably
Bawali Bales for the last round.
Yeah, exactly.
Finally came.
No, bringing in JLA and Bryce Cotton. I can't bet against Bryce Cotton. I could maybe get talked into a Pinder or somebody like that, especially Pinder playing that first game as well. Like if there are restings, I could maybe sit there with Pinder in, just double check that he's playing, and then if it looks like he's going to be out, go to a JLA or something along those lines. Yeah, look, I don't mind that. But yeah, bringing these guys in, my biggest decision is, do I sit or start? I've got to sit one of Gary Clark, Zylan Cheatham, and Luke Travis.
Ooh. Where are you heading first? What are you thinking?
I brought in Luke Travis last week as a pod, and I am genuinely thinking about sitting him on my bench.
And who are you thinking of starting?
Well, Clark and Cheatham.
Yeah. I think so. Clark and Cheatham are safe. They've both still got plenty to play for. Cheatham's the guy there. He's frustrating to watch, though. Like, he rebounds well. He had 9 rebounds at halftime that first game and finished with 10 or 11. But you're just thinking that double-double's not going to come. He just does not look like he can score the ball. So many times he goes in there and just fumbles or he just misses layups. He's one of those guys that you feel and really should be so much better than he is.
Yeah.
He just comes up that bit short every time and just leaves you wanting more.
With Lamb gone, I love the upside of Cheatham. I've had Cheatham for, I bought him cheap too, I think. Got a bit lucky. Moved him. I traded him in when Gary Clark, I was trading in Gary Clark that week. When Gary Clark got the DUI, I went and added Zylan Cheatham. So, and it just sort of worked out for me. But that means I'm starting Clark, Cheatham, Joe Luala-Chul, Bryce Cotton, and Parker Jackson Cartwright. Can I say that that's how an end-of-season team should look? All guys on doubles. That's sensational. And then I've got Luke Travis, Blanchfield, Froling, Justin Robinson, and Will McDowell-White. And I feel like your Justin Robinsons and your Will McDowell-Whites have upside still to score good scores on the bench.
Absolutely, mate. These are quality guys that on their night could go big. And who knows what's going to happen? It could be their night. Something could happen. And even if it's not their night, a Robinson, a Will McDowell-White, they've been put up sort of mid-20s at least the last few games.
Yeah, it's been good. Who are you? Let's chat about captains.
Well, captain, my captain. Well, captain, my captain.
Where's your head at? What are you thinking?
Look, I find it very hard to bet against Bryce Cotton. I think people are down on him a little bit. We've been down on him a little bit. It just seems like the perfect storm to captain him. If less people are captaining Bryce Cotton this week, I want a piece of that pie.
Look, I agree. I've got Bryce Cotton and I have the vice captain on him at the moment. Right now, I've got the captain sitting on PJC. I just feel like if they can go into Perth on the Thursday night, and he goes anywhere near as well as good as, if he goes anywhere near as well as he went last week, and for whatever reason, Perth roll over, concede, then
Well,
that makes it a must-win game for New Zealand against Adelaide, whose season's just about over.
well, that's a really good chat considering New Zealand are playing Brisbane on the Friday night. So
Ah,
that's
that's
Illawarra that's playing Perth.
my bad. That's a really pointless last minute.
Yep. Thank you
yeah.
for listening to my TED talk. No, it's the same thing against Brisbane. They're all going to be fighting. I don't love Shannon Scott against PJC for PJC that much.
Mm. Look, Shannon Scott's a lockdown defender. So is Norton. What? How's he gone in the past? Has PJC done all right against Brisbane?
Phew, let me have a quick look at that. You better talk while I'm googling it.
Yeah, I'll let you do the googling. But yeah, look, Brisbane's an interesting one. They were sitting fourth before they lost and Illawarra won, so that's kind of thrown the ladder a bit. Let me just bring up the ladder because this could actually give us a bit of an insight.
He scored 26 and 29 points this year against the Brisbane Bullets. Like, keep in mind, when he plays Adelaide, he had a 46 in one game.
Yeah. So, yeah, look, these games are going to matter. Brisbane is sitting fifth, half a game behind Illawarra. And they are sitting... Look, Brisbane will comfortably make the sixth. Where they finish and who they play...
If anyone can find a way out of that, it's going to be Brisbane.
You're not wrong about that. They have a nose for a important loss, don't they?
I am, mate. I'm a Brisbane fan. I love it. I watch every one of the games, but watching them in the last bit and watching some of the teams like Adelaide that are probably going to miss out, like I just half think like, gee, Brisbane aren't playing like a team that deserve to be here.
No, but they did work early. They had that sort of winning streak early in the season. I'll tell you who's going to really get hurt here is Sydney. They are sitting, what are they at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sitting outside the sixth. And it's pretty much going to be out of their hands. They've got one game remaining. And they're going to need...
Which is a gimme.
Yeah, but they're going to need everyone else above them to lose all their remaining games. Like, no, they're cooked.
They're gone.
They're going to be cooked, man. How's that for Abdul Fattah?
I mean, he's on his next flight out of, the last plane out of Sydney's almost gone. I'll just leave that there.
Why do we not have a soundbite for that?
Fuck, I wish I did. But I wish I made that the cover photo, to be honest.
There's always next week. I saw the guys jump in the chat before asking about next week. We will be back next week for a review of the season, wrap the entire thing up. Might kick back and look at some of our best moments.
Nah, I'm excited for it. Let's answer some of these questions before I have a 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time basketball game. So I'm excited for that.
Brutal. I would captain you.
Sorry, you'd captain me tonight?
I'd captain you. No, I think you got it after you've been dusty all morning.
Oh, can I say that my hungover game is probably better than Michael Jordan's flu game?
Girl, I got a question for you. Can I get an answer?
I cut you off on purpose.
I think you did too.
Mate, let's answer some of these questions. Rob's Punk's saying we should do a Maddie's Worst Calls episode. I've been good this year. What are you? Jeez.
That'd be like a 2-hour episode.
Bryce is in the chat saying JLA and Lee or Harvey and Saar in for Marshall and Kel.
Who have you got at centre? That's probably what it comes down to. Wow. And who's your other guard? Like, you're starting him or you're benching him? Probably need a bit more info for that one.
Because there's a lot of players. Like, Harvey's not an instant start when I have Cotton. When I've Cotton
PJC.
and PJC, like, Harvey's not even getting a run for me. Like, and I know we're talking about getting the best benches and everything going forward. But I think if you're planning on starting JLA, and that's a big upgrade from a Froling, it's not that big of an upgrade from some of the other guys. Yeah, I think I like Harvey and Saar.
I was going to lean towards JLA and Lee. I think JLA, if he plays, can be the pod.
Yep.
Especially if you need to then start Sam rolling. He does have that power forward eligibility, which gives you a bit of wiggle room to move him bench, power forward, centre, wherever you got to go, even start him. I like JLA. Lee, he didn't do a lot on the weekend, did he?
Lee hasn't done anything for about 4 weeks.
Yeah. Look, if you compare the second half of that equation, Lee versus Saar, Saar's probably got the upside. JLA versus Harvey, I'd say JLA has the upside. Harvey's obviously going to play.
I think Harvey and Saar will score more than JLA, which is the discussion.
Yeah, that's probably it. As a whole, that you've probably wrapped up nicely. I'm sold now.
Global's asking, who do we start out of Pinder and Froling? He's also asking whether to start Clark, Cheatham, or Travis, which is exactly the same about what I spoke about. I'm actually benching Travis, if you missed that one. But the Pinder and Froling, it's got to be Pinder, right?
Yeah, going by form, Pinder's finally found that little vein of form. Maybe they don't rest him because they want to keep that form going. He's finally found it. Pinder's got a massive upside. Froling's shown he's never been able to go on with it this year. He's been thereabouts, but I think 35's the ceiling, whereas Pinder has a 50 ceiling.
I was actually resigned to the fact that I was going to be getting Pinder in instead of JLA this week. But the fact that I could just go straight to Cotton and JLA, I just don't think I can go past pedigree. Like, I love Pinder. I would have been really happy if I brought Pinder in, but I've just sort of sat there and gone, I have enough money for Cotton and JLA. I'm just going to do that. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, works.
Just ducking through a few more questions. There's not a heap. Any new questions coming through? Matty Gibson is against Mattrix in a head-to-head final for cash. Who's the best player I can get that he won't have? I believe that's a question for you, Hammer.
Well,
Probably
lucky
Pinder.
for you, Mattrix has just divulged his entire team, so you can just plan accordingly. Look,
I'll send you a screenshot if you want, mate.
I'll give you a hot tip. How about you go and take Bawali Bales? He's served me well all year.
Good question from Superbirds. Noticed it for the first time in the chat. Cotton or Harvey to start? I think I've given my answer, so.
Yeah. Look, for me, it's Cotton, unless cash is an issue and you're not bringing him in, and you can use that money elsewhere more effectively. But look, if it's just a straight head-to-head, Cotton.
Mate, I think that wraps up our last Supercoach preview of the year.
Beautiful. Let's call it.
Mate, yeah. I'm going to go out and get some buckets of myself. Unders or overs, 8.5 Supercoach points. Can I tell you that my Supercoach scores have been so much better since we went from fantasy, because I shoot about 0 of 9 usually. So they changed my chat name in the chat to 0 and 6 the other day.
Wow, you have improved by 30%. Sensational. Yep. Some of your best work.
All right, man.
Good luck to everyone playing this week, guys. We will see you next week for our final wrap-up show of the year. It's been good.
All right. You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast. Cheerio.